Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of a songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
Yeah, I'm all about the stories. All of the stories behind the songs and the journey that our songwriters take. And we have a great story to share with you today. People always ask, do you have to move to Nashville to make it as a songwriter? Well, we'll try to answer that question today. We've got a great writer who hails from Indiana, although you probably wouldn't know it because she's here all the time and has made quite an impact and has built quite a network for herself. Tracy Richardson is our guest. Tracy, thanks for being with us. How are you today?
Good morning, Dave. I'm great. How are you?
I am so good, and we've got a visit from my kitty. There's Juliet trying to join the podcast. Oh, sweetie, it's a Juliet world. We just live in it.
Yep.
She's physically on the dining room table, which has become a very important part of our podcast, having live music around the dining room table. And Tracy brought her piano, and we're going to have it today. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being on. Yeah. So you hail from Indiana?
Yes. Lived there all my life.
All your life.
Mm-hmm.
And but you've made an impact here in Nashville. Talk a little bit about that journey, because we get that question a lot. Do I have to move to Nashville?
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt, but I mean, it's not a good thing to just sell the house and quit the job and move to Nashville and I'm going to be a star kind of thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've been coming down since about 2012. I joined NSAI in 2012. Came to Song Camp. Then I started coming to songwriting conferences and retreats and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, about once a year or twice a year. And then about 5 years ago, I just really got a little more serious about it and started spending every vacation day I could imagine in Nashville, just coming down, writing with people. And my philosophy has been be bold. Because people can tell you no. If you ask them to write or if you ask to do a round, and they tell you no, that's great. That's fine. At least you know.
Yes.
At least you've tried.
My philosophy's always been the answer is always no unless you ask.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you get a yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And you mentioned NSAI, and I just want to back up because we've talked a little bit about NSAI on the show in the past. It's Nashville Songwriters Association International.
Yes. And
they've got chapters everywhere, and there's probably one near you.
Absolutely. In Indianapolis.
Yeah. Find your nearest NSAI, join. And the things they do are amazing. You mentioned Song Camp.
Yes.
So I know writers who have gone to Song Camp, met with writers there, and still write with them years and years. They make connections that last for years.
Right.
And great collaborations built through NSAI. So,
right. Yeah, and I had never been on a co-write before that. And so I met a couple of people that I started co-writing with at that very first Song Camp. I'd never thought of writing a song with someone else because I had done it by myself for so many years. So that was a revelation to me, and it was good because then you realize, having more brains in the room is a good thing.
Just a couple weeks back, we did a whole show with Nancy Decken of Discover Sooner and Cindy Torres, who wrote with Garth Brooks in Lone Civ Dove, and Dallas Remington. And we talked all on the show about co-writing, the importance, how to do it, why you do it. So go back, and if you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to that one. So, but that'll open up a whole new world for you, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. And so now I co-write all the time.
Yeah.
And I do it mostly in the evenings because I have a day job that's pretty demanding. But I love to write in the evenings and on the weekends, just wherever I can squeeze that in.
That's
mostly
awesome.
through Zoom, unless I'm here in Nashville. And then I love to be in the same room, the same physical room with people.
That's one thing that COVID taught us, that we can work from home, we can Zoom writes, and a lot of people are taking advantage of doing just that.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah. So you have just made so many wonderful network connections, and we talk time and time again about, I have to tell you, I was on a podcast recently, and I've always said it's not who you know, it's who knows you, right? And on this podcast, the host added a thing to that. It's who's willing to say they know you.
Ooh, that's good.
And that's exactly what I said. Ooh, I'm writing that down. I'm going to share that on my podcast.
Yes.
So, who you know, who knows you, and who is willing to say they know you. That's why we call this show The Songwriter Connection. Because each week we make a connection, like we are with Dr. Tracy Richardson today. You are a doctor.
Yes, I have a PhD in counseling, actually. My undergraduate training was in music therapy.
Wow.
So, yeah, when I was 18, I didn't know how to come to Nashville. I knew I wanted to eventually and thought I would be a performer and a songwriter and all those things. But I had no clue how to make that happen because I didn't know anybody here. So I did go to college close to home, found a program called music therapy.
Ooh.
And I was really intrigued by that. And so I've been a music therapist for 30 plus years. Yeah,
Wow.
working with people in hospice, people with developmental disabilities, people with cancer. Just, music, as we know, is such a powerful tool.
It is.
And just a powerful thing. It's a force in people's lives. It starts with us when we're young, and we can always, when we hear those songs that from our youth or from an important time in our life, it takes us right back there. It can be healing. It can be transformative. And you can even use music therapy with people who have had physical disabilities like a stroke.
No, with it. Yeah, okay. Wow.
So, like, if you have a stroke, sometimes you can't speak afterwards. Sometimes it's maybe you can speak, but it's not fluent, and you can use the rhythm of music to help people relearn how to speak after a stroke.
Unbelievable. So, do you do a lot of that?
I don't. That's sort of a neurological specialty in music therapy, and that's not really my specialty. But it is a whole sort of sub genre, if you will, of music therapy.
Tell me a little bit about what you do in your practice then.
Sure. Well, I don't have a practice right now because I'm teaching and I'm a dean at a college, so I have a lot of administrative duties now. But I've worked a long time with cancer patients where you walk in the room and you don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know what they're dealing with, even if you know they have cancer. There's one gentleman, I'll just tell his story quickly. The nurse referred me to go into the room, and she said he's been here 30 days in the hospital and they can't find out exactly what's wrong, and so we don't know how to treat it, and he's very angry. And I went in, and he was with his wife, and we got to talking, and his face was red. He was so angry. And he said, I'm a farmer and I should be home. I should be with my cows. I should be, bringing in the corn, all this stuff. And I could relate because I grew up on a farm. My dad's a farmer. And so I said, well, would it be okay if I just played some music for you for a few minutes? And he said, sure, it's fine. And I said, what do you like? And they said, we like the old hymns. And I said, okay, I got that. So I just played, and probably 5 seconds in, they were both tearful. And then they both started crying. And I stopped at the end of the first verse and I said, is it okay for me to keep going? And they said, yes, keep playing. So I did that for about 15 minutes and they just cried. And at the end of that 15 minutes, they said, we're good. And he looked at his wife and he said, go home and feed the cows. I'm good.
Oh, my.
So, and he wasn't red-faced anymore. He could talk, just naturally. And
that is such a beautiful story.
It's the power of music,
The power of music.
And the connection between humans. It's not like just going in and putting on a CD for that person. It's that a person's in front of you who's caring and who wants to give you, who wants to connect with you through the music.
That connection again. Yeah, that one-to-one.
Yeah.
That's really a powerful story. I bet you just love what you do.
I do. Yeah, it changes lives.
Let's talk about songwriting. You recently won a big award from American Songwriter Magazine.
I did.
January and February, and that is really an honor.
I know.
That was a lyric songwriting contest, right?
Yeah, their lyric contest, they hold 6 times a year. Goes with their editions that come out every other month. And I have entered a couple of times before, the lyric contest or the song contest.
Yeah.
Because we all love our songs and we all think that they're the best things since sliced bread. But this particular time I submitted a couple of lyrics, and then at the very last minute I thought, I don't know if this other song is any good according to anybody else's standards, but I'm just going to submit it. And that's the one that won.
Oh, my. Meant a lot to you.
Yeah, it was a personal.
I've always said, if it does, and it's, sometimes people say, is it too personal? And I said, well, if you got something out of it, maybe It'll reach
else.
somebody else.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the case with you. And we're going to hear that song a little bit later in the podcast, so stick around for that. It's a powerful song. You're gonna love it. We like to have music around the dining room table, Tracy, so how about you start us off with a song? Tell us the story behind it. And
Sure.
maybe that song that you co-wrote and how the idea became a song.
Yeah. So I'll start with one called Pine Needle, and I wrote this several years ago, and I'm very honored that it's being used by music therapists in hospice work. With the families, and they do memorial services. After someone passes away, like once a year, they'll do a memorial service for the families.
Yeah.
And so this is one that's being used in that way.
That's fantastic.
Take a quick drink.
Take a quick drink. I have a broadcast friend, unfortunately, who is in hospice care right now in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And we're praying for him every day.
Sure.
So this
is called Pine Needle.
Pine Needle, okay.
And it started from just a morning walk and noticing little pine needles on the trees and just how fragile they looked. So that's where this came from.
Wow. Tracy Richardson's our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
I'm a little pine needle holding on for dear life, hoping the winter wind won't blow me away. I'm a yellow wildflower reaching for the sunlight, praying the cloudburst don't drown me today. I still love you though you left me, and you left me long ago. I don't know if I can make it on my own. I'm a baby sparrow waiting for my first flight, working up the courage to soar from the nest. I'm a golden sunrise, fighting off the dark night, holding back the evening stars till I'm ready to rest. I still love you though you left me, and you left me long ago, thinking maybe I can make it on my own. Time is teaching me how strong I can be. I still love you though you left me, but I'm finally letting go, finding out that I can make it on my own. I still love you though you left me, but I'm finally letting go, finding out that I can make it on my own. I'm a little pine needle holding on for dear life, hoping the winter wind won't blow me away.
Again, the power of a song. Music is therapy. Interesting concept.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always there. And it's always had magical properties. It can transport you in time, you know. In that respect, it's a time machine.
Yeah.
But it's so much more. That emotional connection, it can help you heal. It can help you move on.
Right.
It can express love and anger, all of the emotions. And it's just absolutely incredible. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you
Love
so much.
that song.
Thank you.
Really do. And thanks for sharing that with us. Let's talk about your journey.
Sure.
I read somewhere you got your mom and dad bought you a piano when you were like 9?
Yeah.
Upright?
Yeah, it was a Kimball.
Kimball? Yeah.
And I still have it in my house. And I also have one of the weird people that probably has 2 pianos in their house.
Wow.
I've got my grandpa's piano, too, because
Wonderful.
he started me by just letting me sit on his lap and put my hands on his hands. So when he played by ear, I felt like I was playing.
Nice.
So, yeah, and then when I was 9, I begged my parents to get me a piano, and they did, and piano lessons. So every Saturday morning, everybody else was watching cartoons, but I was at piano lessons.
Wow. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You play a little guitar too, though, don't you?
A little bit, yeah.
You're going to have to play a lot more, because I know we're going to talk later about one of your prizes from the American Songwriter Magazine. So, but yeah, very gifted as well. So from a very early age, 9, but then by 15, you're in bands.
Yeah.
And you're in bar bands and things. How did that happen?
Well, I was in high school, and, everybody knew me as a musician because I played piano for the choir and all that stuff. And these 3 older guys were starting a band, and they said, "You want to be the keyboard player?" And I'm like, "Yes." I didn't have a keyboard. So thank goodness for Mom and Dad again.
And it's hard to lug around an upright Kimball.
Right.
Yeah.
So my parents, bought me a piano or a keyboard, and we played bars. My parents were there every weekend. Of course, I'm a 15-year-old girl, playing in bars, and but the guys always watched out for me too. I always felt like I had all these big brothers that were, helping to watch out for me. But yeah, I started at 15. It was a country band. It was, Ronnie Millsap and John Conley and music. It just was the greatest music.
Some of those you even opened for.
We did,
Well, within that band?
No, it was a little bit later. So when I was about 18, I got with this band called the Don Morris Band, and we ended up being the local opener for like Randy Travis and George Strait. I mean, big names when they came to Terre Haute. And then we also toured around the Midwest, so we'd go out for about 2 weeks at a time and then go back home. And came down here and cut some demos when I was 18, and started to get the bug.
Was that the first trip to Nashville?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Started to get the bug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nashville has that draw. Mm-hmm. It has some way of drawing you in.
That's right.
It really does.
Yeah.
If we'd come down and we'd write, or we'd spend time here, and then we'd head back to Ohio, and every time you left, you were feeling like you're leaving a bit of home.
Yeah.
So I know that feeling. So I have a feeling that eventually this will be your home too. Huh?
Maybe so. Maybe so. Eventually. Right now, I'm still working and have a great job. And
sounds like it.
Yeah.
So you're dean of the college.
I'm dean of. We have different divisions at the college.
Which college is that?
It's St. Mary of the Woods College.
St. Mary of the Woods.
It was a women's college for 175 years, and now it's co-ed.
No kidding. Wow.
And growing by leaps and bounds. And so I'm the dean over the Division of Arts and Social Sciences.
Oh, how about that?
And then I still we have a master's program in music therapy, and I'm the director of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It keeps me busy.
I bet it does. And you find time to write on the weekends and the evenings.
Yeah. Just prioritize it,
That's
when it's what you love.
Awesome. Now, you also wrote a book not too long ago.
I did. In I probably started it in 2018. I had written this song called Superwoman Blues. And I had a mentor here in town, Amanda Williams, who said,
I love her.
She said, you should write a book to go with that. And I was like, I don't know how to write a book. But she said, just start writing your story. And so I started writing my story. And what emerged was this book that I was able to then sort of market with my CD of Superwoman Blues. Nice. The book is called Who Moved My Cape? Letting Go of Your Superwoman Expectations.
No kidding.
And it's little short chapters. Each one is just a little bit of... it starts with, like, here's a myth. And then it follows with, but here's the truth. Like we all think that sometimes when you're a young mom, you get expectations put on you by the world. And so how to fight back against that, or,
Give me an example of a myth.
One of the myths in the book was, I have to do everything right, and I have to make homemade peanut butter for my kids. And the reality is Jif is just fine.
Just fine.
It is just fine.
How about that? Sounds like a great book.
It's
out
short.
there?
It's short. Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's very readable. It's very. You can read it in an afternoon. It's
get it on your Kindle.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to read my books on Kindle, right on my phone. It's just so convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. That is really great. So you met Amanda. Amanda Williams, whose dad was
Kim Williams,
amazing songwriter. We've talked about Kim in the past on this show.
And she's an amazing songwriter too, and runs a group called Songpreneurs.
Yes.
In Nashville. Mm-hmm.
And beautiful lady. And a beautiful woman. Yeah. In person too. And a great songwriter. So love to have her on this show sometime. And maybe we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's nice. Have you written with her?
I have. It's been a couple of years.
Has it been?
We've written a few.
You've written with so many cool people.
Well, like I said,
Lauren Massetti, one of them, who is an amazing artist here in town.
Sometimes opportunities just fall in your lap, but you kind of have to be there to catch them.
Good point.
And so that's one reason I come so much. I want to make relationships with people here. I genuinely love the place and love the people. And I think I have been presented with some opportunities because I'm here and I hear around and I go up to somebody afterwards and just say, that song was amazing, and sometimes I'm bold enough to say, would you meet me for coffee? Or, and then maybe that leads to a ride or something. Yeah. I met Lauren Massetti after a Jimmy Webb concert here in Nashville.
One of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, Google him.
Yeah.
Please.
Amazing.
You're going to be impressed.
If you know anything by Glenn Campbell, then you know Jimmy Webb.
Jimmy Webb. Yeah. A lineman for the county.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Beautiful melodies as well. Yeah. Consider yourself a melody person as well as a lyric person?
Yeah.
What are your strengths?
I was very surprised to win a lyric contest,
You did?
to be honest.
Yes, you did.
Because I have always thought of myself as a melody person. I kind of like music theory and that kind of stuff. I'm a nerd about that. And,
I am too, though.
And I love learning more about melody. I'm actually taking a melody class right now from Songtown, which is another great organization.
Yes, it is. Already in play.
Yes.
Check it out. They're good. Very good group.
Yeah. So I think I'm more of a melody person, but, I love to write lyrics too. So that's a part of it.
Good for you. And that's the thing about co-writing we talked about in the past. You know your strengths and you bring that to the table, but so do the other people.
Right.
And you add all those strengths together, and sometimes 2-3 heads are better than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, most times.
Yes,
That's cool.
for sure.
Now, can you play that Superwoman blues song?
Oh, my goodness.
Or did you have something else in mind?
I had something else in mind, but I can do it if you want.
You just got me curious about hearing this song that spawned a book.
Well, okay, I wrote this song a while back, so my kids are grown, and they were young when I wrote this song, and it just came from a real place of, like, feeling like you have to be Superwoman. You're working and, trying to do some music and trying to raise kids, and, so just that. And I wanted to put a little funny spin on it. So.
Well, good.
Sure, I'll try it. Woke up this morning about 6 a.m. Woke up the kids, took care of them. Got myself ready, kissed my man goodbye. One mission accomplished and now I'm on the fly. I need a cape and some real comfy shoes. 'Cause every single day I got the Superwoman blues. I got to work, 1,000 things to do. I made a list, made coffee too. But that phone kept ringing, wouldn't leave me alone. I turned around and it was time to go. I need a cape and some superpowers too. 'Cause every single day I got the Superwoman blues. Rolled in the drive, about 5:45. Gotta help with the homework. I got dinner to fix. 5 loads of laundry. Gotta pay the bills. Don't know how much longer I can handle these thrills. I need a cape and a phone booth too. Calls every single day. I got the Superwoman blues. Yeah, I need a cape and an extra strength Tylenol too. Calls every single day. I got the Superwoman blues.
Tracy Richardson, Without Her Cape. Who moved your cape, girl? What a fun song. Going to take a little break. We'll be right back with more with Tracy Richardson on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Hey, once again, we do appreciate the listen, and we appreciate the fact that you spread this around. We're over 200,000 streams and downloads and subscriptions, and no matter where you're hearing this right now, share, tell a friend, put it on your socials. I appreciate you so much, and thanks for listening to Songwriter Connection Podcast. Very interesting podcast today with music therapist, songwriter, Tracy Richardson. Tracy is an amazing person, and thank you for sharing your story with us, Tracy.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's my pleasure.
Thanks for playing the blues song. I love the blues, and you got the whole thing. Oh, yeah.
It's that feeling. I mean, sometimes, and when I play that for a room that has a lot of women in it, they're like, yes.
I'll bet.
I relate.
On their feet, right along with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, absolutely. So much truth in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we had you recently at the 12 Keys Saloon, which is a little, it's a beer joint with a music problem, as the owner says. And it's a little tiny place around the corner from where I live in Hermitage, and it really is becoming a magical place and a cool hang for songwriters. You were there Saturday, and you did a round, and you blew us away.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very good job, and you're welcome back anytime.
But I love it there. I love it. It's a great place. Yeah. It's like an intimate little place. Everybody knows it's kind of like Cheers.
It is.
Everybody knows each other.
We even have a Norm.
Yeah.
Norm McDonald comes in, we yell, Norm! But yeah, it's really fun. And we just love to invite all the songwriters in and just swap stories and songs. It's really a cool place. I think you can have a place like that no matter where you live. If you're not in Nashville, and again, it's talking about coming into Nashville, do you need to live in Nashville? You can build these communities of your own. We did that in Cincinnati, and I'm sure your NSAA chapter in Indiana did the same thing.
Yes.
We found places we could play. Mm-hmm. And we put together rounds. In fact, we bought a lamp. And we would put ourselves around the lamp and pretend like we were at the Bluebird.
I love it.
And it was fun. And then whenever we had pro writers come in, we would have them sign the lamp. You could do things like this.
Yeah.
You could get your music out there. Mm-hmm. You can start getting those network tentacles out there and start meeting people. You don't have to be here in Nashville, do you?
Right. No. I mean, it's a great place to be, but I think you can make it work from other places, at least starting out and getting to know people. And that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm. How often do you come to town?
I'm here about every 4 to 6 weeks. I try to come, 4 days at a time, like maybe a Friday through a Monday or something like that.
And you pack a lot into those 4 days.
I do. Well, it's precious time.
It is.
And so, I try to do rights. I try to do rounds. I try to go out and hear other people. It's not just about me getting my songs out there, but I want to hear other people and support other songwriters and get to know them.
Find out where the bar is. And are your songs hitting that bar?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, for instance, you went, after you played Saturday, you went over to the Bluebird.
I did, yeah. I went to dinner with Nancy Deckant and George.
And George.
And afterwards I thought, I think I've got time to get to the Bluebird. I don't have a ticket, but I am going to just just take it on faith that there's going to be one left. And what do I have to lose? So I booked it on over to the Bluebird, and they had one seat left in the pews.
Wow.
And I got to hear Steve Zeskin and Gretchen Peters and Mark Beeson and Lauren Weintraub. And it was an amazing experience. Amazing
writers.
Yeah. Oh. Anytime that you can go hear somebody at the Bluebird is amazing. They are just, that's the bar.
Yeah, it is the bar.
Yeah.
It is the most amazing place to watch songs.
Yeah.
And songwriters. And first of all, if you've ever been to the Bluebird, I will tell you, it's hard to get tickets. You got lucky, didn't you?
Did.
You know. But when you're there, the placards on the table say, shh, you respect the music.
Absolutely.
And I've seen them kick people out for not, adhering to their rules, let's say.
Right.
I remember one guy warned a couple times. Finally said, "Sir, you're out of here."
This is a listener.
Kicked out of better places than this. And I'm thinking, no, you haven't.
Right. No, you have not.
You obviously don't know where you're at, sir.
Right.
But, yeah.
And that for me is the bar. That's the goal, is to eventually be a peer to these folks that I respect so much.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to try to play there tonight, aren't you?
I'm going to try. Yeah. I'm going to, it's a whole process of just getting online, and they only take a few people for their open mic on Monday. And so if you are lucky enough to get in time online, then you get in.
We're going to try to get you.
Yeah. I've played a couple of times there for the open mic, and it's just a thrill, just knowing the music and the people that have been in that place, the careers that have started. You look around on the walls. There was a couple there the other night that they were looking at a picture on the wall, and they didn't know who it was. They were a young couple.
Yeah.
And I heard their discussion, and I said, "Are you trying to figure out who that is?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "It's Chris Christopherson."
Oh, my gosh.
I said, "Look him up." 2 Ks. Chris Christopherson with K. I said, "Look him up."
They didn't know who he was.
They didn't know who he was.
Crazy.
No. Yeah. Younger folks.
When you're sitting in the round, when they have it set up, they don't always have it set up in the round. Sometimes it's on the stage. When you're in the round, I was on the side by where the stage normally is, watching my friends Billy Lee and Troy Castellano was playing in this round.
Mm-hmm. Great writers.
Yes, great writers. And on the wall right behind Tracy is this huge portrait of Chris Christopherson. Yeah. And it looks like he was looking right over his shoulder. So I snapped that picture and I go, I said to Troy, "Troy, ever get the feeling that when you're playing, there's somebody looking over your shoulder?"
Yes.
I think he was trying to steal a line or two from you.
Right.
So, yes, it is that feeling that when you step on that stage or when you play in that round, it's just undescribable, but it is kind of like what we call Ryman the mother church of country music. I would have to say that is the mother church of songwriting.
Yes.
It really is. And they do have pews, like you said.
Yeah.
There is a little portion back there that they have pews set up like in church. Mm-hmm. And I guess that comes from the Ryman. Those aren't the actual pews that were in the Ryman, but kind of an homage to Ryman Auditorium. And the Bluebird, if you've never been there, it seats about, 65 people?
I'm not sure, but yeah, it's not.
It's less than 100.
Yeah.
But it's a captive audience.
You can hear somebody across the room clear their throat.
You can.
I mean, it's
intimate and just, you want to see how good your songs are performing around like that with people listening. Can they touch people?
Yeah.
Does it touch them in the heart? That's where you find, are your songs really working?
Right.
So you got to get them out there, folks. And again, you don't have to come to Nashville to do that. You can do that in your own hometown. Just find places. Find a group of people that have like minds like you, that love to write songs, love the craft of songwriting. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear another story behind a song and another song, maybe one that you co-wrote.
Sure.
Who would you like to talk about this? Let's talk about somebody.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Lauren Massetti. She's amazing.
I absolutely love her. Met her for the first time this year at the Songwriter Festival in Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
But had been a fan for a long time. She's an Ohio girl. Uh-huh. Tell a little bit about her story.
Well, I don't know her whole story. I just know she's been performing since she was a little bitty baby thing.
Yeah.
She
was on American Idol.
She was on American Idol. She's just a great performer, great writer. She performs around Nashville a lot and writes a lot. And I just was fortunate enough to meet her after the Jimmy Webb concert. And we just got to talking, and I just felt a connection. And I said, would you be open to writing sometime? So we got to know each other first, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we've written, I think, 2 or 3 times, and I think we've gotten great songs each time.
Oh, I'll bet. I don't see how it couldn't be.
Yeah.
You going to play one of those for us?
Yeah, so this is called Jesus is the Reason. This is the first time I've done this. Lauren actually has it on Facebook. She has a version of it, and she does it much better than me, but I'll put my stamp on it.
Okay.
Got a big green tree all lit up, sipping on the eggnog in this cup, and it's sweet like the grace I've been given by the hand of God. And the scent of the pine reminds me I'm alive to tell you about that baby boy. He's the hope that we're needing, the message we're believing. Christmas is the season, Jesus is the reason. Got a big red bow on a gift for me, right next to my grandma's nativity. Got a couple broken pieces, but we leave them 'cause of what they mean. And the soft yellow glow of the star that we know led the shepherds to that holy babe. He's the hope that we're needing, the message we're believing. Christmas is the season, Jesus is the reason. It's so much more than a trip to the store and a sleigh ride around the world. It's God, it's a king, it's a new beginning, knit together in a virgin girl. Gonna sit in a pew on Christmas Eve, squeezing everybody in close to me. It's family and friends and faces that I've never seen. We'll be feeling the love coming from above, and his name is Emmanuel. He's the hope that we're needing, the message we're believing. Christmas is the season, Jesus is the reason. Jesus is the reason.
Oh, yeah. That's a beautiful song.
Thank
you. And Lauren Machete, Jesus is the Reason. You've opened up a whole new can of worms here. We could do a whole show on, and we're going to do this sometime, on Christmas songs.
Yeah.
Because I know writers who have made a living doing, they call Corey Lee Barker Mr. Christmas, because he has so many Christmas songs, and he gets them placed in movies and stuff, and on CDs and by different artists.
Yeah.
And then there's Randy Brooks, who I want to have on this show one of these days. He's a great guy, and he wrote
Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Yeah, everybody knows the song, right? Yeah. And boy, I tell you, making a living on that song right
yes,
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we connected that day. We had a write scheduled, and it was right before Christmas, maybe 3 weeks, and that was just this last December.
Okay, wow.
And we just got to talking about what Christmas meant to us and some of our memories, and this started to come out, and that's just the magic of songwriting. 2 hours later, we had a song that we were proud of.
Wow. Doesn't always happen that fast.
No.
That is really cool when it does.
Yeah.
And and Christmas songs don't always happen around Christmas time.
Right.
A lot of times those artists that are releasing Christmas songs, they're recording these in July.
Right.
June, July,
yeah.
August. So you never know when that spirit hits you, but it is important to have Christmas songs in your repertoire.
Yes.
If you're playing out a lot and you're sharing your songs, around Christmas time, it's good to pull those songs out. And
Absolutely.
Tracy, I got to make it a point to write more Christmas songs.
Yeah.
I really do. I need a few more in my repertoire.
Yeah.
I always fall back on the same 2 or 3. So,
they're fun to write. It's fun to try to find a different angle. There's so many holiday songs that have been written, but to just find, maybe find your own story. I wrote one last year that was about it's called Christmas Memory. I haven't released it or anything, but it's just about the fact that we always put the tree in the same corner. We always put the same decorations, and just how warm and familiar that is, and how it feels so good to just have that thing being always that process, that tradition.
That tradition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about tradition.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk more about this this big award you got from Songwriter Magazine. Yeah. You talked a little bit about it, but it's a special song, special meaning. Is. Yeah. And really came from your heart. So,
yeah. Last spring, my husband of 33 years, he had MS for our entire marriage. We sort of battled MS, but we did not know he had a heart condition. And so he went in the hospital last spring in March and had a heart attack and didn't even know it. It was a silent heart attack. And they told him he'd actually had a previous one because they can tell, you know. But we did everything, you know. He got stents while he was there, and he seemed to tolerate those pretty well. And the kids all three of the kids and I were there every day with him for 10 days. And then the kids went home, excuse me, because he was supposed to be discharged. And so we were just waiting for him to be discharged. And he ended up, his heart just stopped. And they tried everything to revive him, and they couldn't. So, you know, we lost him, and it was just way too young. And I don't know, you know, like I said, he had MS all those years, but you're never prepared for that. It doesn't matter. What has come before. You're just not prepared. And I have to say, because I would kick myself later if I didn't say this, he is the main reason I got to come to Nashville for these last 10 years, and especially the last 5, because he knew I loved it. He knew I really wanted to pursue professional songwriting. And he would say, he'd look at his calendar and he'd say, "Isn't it about time for you to go back to Nashville?" And we would just laugh about it. And I'm like, "You are so supportive. I can't," you know. And what it meant for him was he had to get friends to help him get into bed at night and things like that, because that was, you know, he relied on me a lot for a lot of physical things. So anyway, he was my biggest cheerleader. Yeah. So that's this song. After he passed away, about 2 weeks later, I was on a walk and it started to come out. And over time, it just sort of, you know, evolved into a song.
And he was a musician as well, right?
Yeah, he was a great drummer. He really was a great drummer. He could tell you how to do a lick, break it down, you know, even stuff by like Toto. He was really good.
Had you ever played together? You were in the bands and stuff?
We tried when we first got married, but we really wanted to put our focus on our family. And we knew that if we got in a band, we would be out playing every Friday and Saturday night and wouldn't be there with our kids. And we had kids because we wanted kids. And so to us, that was important. You know, other people figured out how to do it, obviously, but we just, we wanted to be home with them. So
figured it out together.
Yeah.
But he was supportive and he pushed you in that direction. Yeah. And supported your dreams.
Yeah, and he did play on my first CD back in the mid-'90s, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. So tell us about so you started to come together. And but was it, you know, since I'll ask this because you won the lyric contest. Did the lyric come first? Or?
For me, a lot of times things come together. I might have a melody idea, but there's usually a lyric that is right behind it, or the lyric might come and the melody's right behind it. Yeah. So they often emerge together. So for me, it was the first 2 or 3 lines that started to come out, but they had a melody with them already. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got to share this song with us.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, my pleasure. Hope I can make it through it.
Me too. If you cry, I'm gonna. You
okay. All right. We stood in those long, lonely lines. Seems like 100 times. Waiting to pay our respects. Wondering which one would be next. Well, now we know. And I'm not ready, you're too young. Now the plans we made are coming undone. I'm your steady, you're my rock. Now the earth is shaking and it won't stop. I was the girl in white a few years back. Now I'm the woman in black. The hardest thing I've ever done is calling our daughters and our son. There ain't no way to break a heart tenderly, but you would have done it so much better than me. I'm not ready, you're too young. Now the plans we made are coming undone. I'm your steady, you're my rock. Now the earth is shaking and it won't stop. I was the girl in white a few years back. Now I'm the woman in black. I still feel you, but damn, I miss you. I'm not ready, you're too young. Now the plans we made are coming undone. I'm your steady, you're my rock. Now the earth is shaking and it won't stop. I was the girl in white a few years back. I was your girl in white a few years back. Now I'm the woman in black.
Tracy Richardson, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. She played this last week at the 12 Keys Saloon, and there wasn't a dry on the house. And we've come full circle on the podcast now. Music is therapy. A very therapeutic song for you to write about. Very cathartic.
Yeah, for sure. Hard to write and hard to share. Really didn't think I would ever share it, but when it won the contest, I thought, okay, maybe somebody else needs to hear this.
Absolutely, I think somebody needs to hear it. Somebody else,
yeah. And I played it at the Commodore. I don't know, a couple of months ago, right after I won the contest, or found out I'd won the contest, and a woman came up to me in tears afterwards, and she said, I hope you will record that because people need to hear it. She said, I needed to hear it.
And are you recording it?
I will, yes. I'm going to say yes, I will.
Watch for that, yes.
Yes.
And of course, they send you this brand new Gibson guitar, so you're going to be playing more guitar these days?
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna get in there. Yeah, it's a great guitar, and I got an AKG microphone.
Nice.
And got a year of songcraft and some other really nice things. So,
wonderful.
If people are on the fence, get on that American Songwriter contest, lyric contest, song contest. They're very supportive.
It's a great magazine. Check it out. Tracy, thanks for being on the show. Tracy Richardson, remember that name. Listen to the podcast again and the great songs. And thank you for being with us. Wishing you all the best.
Much.
Thank you for joining us on Songwriter Connection.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.